Ashtrays with Dewan B. Music for your soul. Roll up and listen to Incense and Ashtrays with Dewan B. Music for your soul.
I'm muting myself. God damn it. Yeah. What's up, y'all? I got the wrong graphic artwork up there. Let me go back to... Damn, I'm having all kinds of technical difficulties right now. Jesus. Won't he do it? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? I'm over here trying to get some. I decided at the last minute to put some slides up for y'all. Well, not really slides, but pictures of some of the people that I'm going to be talking about. But I decided to do that at the last minute. Of course. And so I'm like over here fumbling and stumbling to get y'all some pictures. Because like when I thought about this subject for today, this subject for today, I was like, oh, I'm gonna make it a little extra special. I want to show some pictures of the people we talking about. You know what I mean? Because yesterday, salute to Tariq Nasheed. He wore my Black American Music Family Tree t-shirt on his broadcast, and that was hella dope. But it has been a lot of talk lately about the Black American influence on rock and on grunge. And I'm glad this is coming out because I've been meaning to talk about this for a minute. And now that it's coming out, I guess that's the universe's way of telling me, talk about it now. Because it's on my Black American Music Family Tree, the Black influence on grunge and heavy metal and punk rock. But the names are bubbling to the surface now. So, hey, why not talk about now's a great time to talk about it. You see here on the family tree, I don't know if y'all can see my mouse cursor, but you see where I have out of rock and roll comes classic rock, which went into metal, and then funk. A lot of people don't realize funk and metal, funk and rock and roll are opposite sides of the same quarter. They're the same. They're really twins. Oftentimes played by the same bands. They're twins of the blues. But I must be remiss. I'm sorry for being so rude. I'm 8 minutes into the show, and I did not say welcome to the chat room. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for joining. Somebody asked, what's my Cash App? It's right there on the bottom right there. Thank you for asking. $, Dewan Brown. Yeah, I invested a lot into this tree. Time and a hell of a lot of money, because I'm going to tell y'all the truth. And this is for everybody out there that want to, in the future, do some kind of research on something. Research is expensive, man. Research is expensive. You be having to buy books that are no longer in print. And that shit costs. But hey, it'll cost more if I was wrong in the destruction of my credibility. That will cost even more. So, yeah. I puts up the money. Always puts up the money. And also, while we're at it, this is brought to you by lightthemood.com. Jayla and these dope smelling candles. Candles be smelling good than a motherfucker, man. Like, you burn these candles, you come out and you be like, oh, smells so refreshing. Because me personally, I'm an incense person, and she got the incense too on deck. But I gotta burn them candles too, because incense will have your house all dusty. You burn these candles, you're gonna smell good, and you're not gonna have balls of dust on your walls and couch and everything. So use my discount code WeedSmoke22 for 40% off. Dig it? But yeah, so we're here. So today we're talking on the Black American Music Family Tree. I always remind people when I teach on this tree that it's all soul music. That's why I have soul here in the middle. That encompasses what's going on down here with the rural spirituals. I said spirituals. I swear at least one or two times a show, I'm going to say something that whoopty whams my own tongue, and I'm going to put one letter before the wrong letter. Damn. Trying to sound good for y'all. And I'm over here sounding like, what's his name? What's that lawyer that be losing all them cases? What's his name? Ben Crump. I'm over here sounding like Ben Crump. Jesus. I was listening to one of my spiritual people on YouTube, and I like a lot of the things they have to say. You know, they be saying some dope stuff. But the dude kept mispronouncing the goddess Persephone, and he was calling her Persephone. And I'm like, oh gosh. I'm not gonna say his name because I love the brother too much. And his information is too dope. And I only want to say my first time saying the name. I don't want it to be on no BS. But I was just listening like, man, it's Persephone, brother. What? There's no such thing as a Persephone. That sounds like an invention a nigga made in 1790. What is a Persephone? No, her name is Persephone. That's the goddess you speak of. Not Persephone. But her name is spelled Persephone. So I see why he would say Persephone, but it's Persephone, daughter of Zeus, is what the Greeks say. Queen of the underworld. But her name is Persephone, not Persephone. No, you horny niggas. Not Persephone from IG. Not her, you horny ass niggas. No. See, I can't tell you. The minute you try to tell some of you tell. I love black folks. You try to say some information, and here come these niggas. Oh man, she fine as hell on IG. Not her, brother. Salute to Persephone. She cool as hell. She good people. Every time I've been around her, she's been nothing but good positive energy. So salute to her. But not her, you horny ass niggas. The real Persephone, the goddess of the underworld. Queen of the dead. Anyway, I gotta stop looking at the chat room. You niggas are ignorant. Y'all some ignorant ass niggas. Matter of fact, I gotta turn on some preaching music before I get all the way started. Y'all know me. I always gotta get in the mood first. And once I get in the pocket, then the information flows. But if I ain't in the pocket, I'll be fumbling and stumbling like Ben Crump. You sound like a rap record. I need some water. Y'all give me like 20 seconds. Hold on. Let the music flow. hell out here in LA. I got them ice. I'm keeping my Crystal Geyser bottles of water in the freezer. Doing them old nigga methods. Put that water in the freezer and drink the part that melted off. Oh, thank y'all for the Cash App. Williams, I appreciate that. Charles, I appreciate the Cash App. That means a lot. It really does. You niggas still talking about Persephone? God damn. Y'all see? I apologize, ladies. You can't put a notion in these niggas' heads. God damn. My apologies to the ladies in the chat room. The men in the chat room ain't shit, boy. Y'all ain't shit. So, back to the blues being the father of funk and rock. All black music is soul music. Comedy comes from the soul. Spoken word, that's all soul music. Comedy is music too. It's a rhythm, it's a pocket. When I'm on stage as a comedian, I apply the same principles to performance and pocket and crowd awareness as I do as a professional drummer. The same pocket and awareness I use when I'm using it during the keynote speech. It's all music. It's all rhythm. And for us, it comes from the soul. I cite sources and bring references because a lot of us, you know, we are raised in a Eurocentric mindset, a Eurocentric way of education. And in the Eurocentric way of education, people want books. They want books to go to. They want other people's opinions on things. And that's fine. I'm not judging it. So that's why I provide that information. I'm always open with the books that I get to read when it comes to black music. One is called Blue Monday. That's the story of Fats Domino. It's a great book. Another great book is a book, I think it's out of print. I'm not sure, but I've had this for a while. It's called Segregated Sound. Inventing Folk and Pop Music in the Age of Jim Crow. It talks about how black music was created totally 100% in segregation. And how the songs of the world were all cooked up in segregated areas of the United States of America, where there were no external influences. It's a great book. Another book that's an indirect reference. It's not a direct music book, but it's by, what's the name of that? It's by Paul. Was it by Paul Walker? Is it by Paul Walker? What's the name of that book? No, not by Paul Walker. It's another book. I don't want to get up again. It's in my. I got that book in my damn library in my garage. I can't go get it. Creation of the Media. There's a book called The Creation of the Media by Paul Starr. That's what it is, by Paul Starr. And that book talks about how American media was used to spread propaganda around the world. And indirectly references how black music our music played a key role in that. So when it comes to black America's influence around the world, it's literally impossible for us to have been influenced by the Caribbean or Africa because we just weren't paying attention to them. We were in our own segregated areas. And while we were in our segregated areas creating our segregated music was being used as propaganda to influence the world because our music was so good. Once the rest of the world heard it, they had to fall in love with America. When you fall in love with the sounds of America, guess what's going to happen? You're going to fall in love with America because life is a song. That's what life is. Life is a song. And that song comes from our soul. And out of our soul, we have ragtime, blues, jazz, R&B, rock, skiffle, house, standards, Britpop, funk, hip hop. It's all soul music. And soul music is expressed within the surrounding context of your immediate environment. All right, I always want to get that part straight. Music is a sonic interpretation of your environment. That's why soul music is important. That's why it sounds different depending on where you are. Soul music, as expressed through the South, has a different feel and groove as soul music as expressed through New York or Chicago or Los Angeles or Seattle. The blues is the sound of the South, whether it be Memphis, the Delta, Mississippi, Louisiana. And I always say, if you really want to break this down, go back and listen to my interview with Mr. Bobby Rush. I have 2 interviews on Incense and Ashtrays up with the great legend Bobby Rush, blues guitarist. He was there in the Chitlin Circuit in the 1950s. He told a lot of firsthand stories of your original innovators of what will be later on become funk, rock, disco, R&B, and what have you. But in the Chitlin Circuit of the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, you get a mixture, the roux, I should say, that will become American popular music and American popular musicians. You get the roux. All of this was going on at the same time. Whether it be Pig Meat Markham on the Chitlin Circuit, at the same time you had Pig Meat Markham out there with Muddy Waters, out there with Rufus Thomas, with Howlin' Wolf, Bo Diddley, Moms Mabley. We don't understand. These people are all touring the Chitlin Circuit together on the same bill. And out of this is where you get your base for what will later on become American popular music. Also, what will become reggae. When we talk about the DJ culture, they want to say DJ culture comes from Jamaica. Toasting comes from Jamaica. The Black American got their toasting from Jamaica. No disrespect, Jamaica. No disrespect. But this brother right here, Rufus Thomas. Rufus had a radio show in Memphis where he would rap and crack jokes as he introduced the music. He also was a very popular, he started out as a tap dancer and an extremely popular blues musician. He doubled as a blues musician by night, radio DJ by day. So Mr. Rufus Thomas He was very influential in breaking and making famous B.B. King, making famous a lot of great blues acts, because it was his radio station that was it was his radio show that was the preeminent blues show in Memphis, Tennessee during the 50s and the 60s. He also had smash hits where he rapped. That comes out of the blues. We must remember that. We must remember that. This is our music. So as you see on the tree, classic rock and funk being what comes out of rock and roll. And on the tree, I separated rock and roll and R&B. They're really the same thing, but they have slightly different tempos. Rock and roll is purposely sped up. Little Richard talks about that. Oh, Mr. Bobby Rush talks about being on the road with Little Richard too. Go figure. But Little Richard, when it comes to white music, when you want to appeal to white people, you speed the music up. Because white people, not just white people, non-black people in general. Notice that. Whether you're dealing with, everybody loves EDM or what they call dance music. It seems like everybody non-black likes that dance music. The Mexicans be messing with it. The Asians, the white folks, the Indians. That faster tempo, because they dance on the beat. We dance between the beats. So black people knew to speed the music up if you want to appeal to a more white audience. And R&B has always made no mistake, made no bones about appealing to black people. R&B don't speed the song up for anybody to like it. R&B more so plays the same. Rock and roll and R&B are the same music, just slightly different tempos. But again, it's all soul music. And just because something's on this side of the tree doesn't mean it didn't affect that side of the tree. 80s funk and R&B are hand in hand. All right? There are so many hand-in-hand elements of the blues and disco. So don't let things being on the opposite sides of the tree fool you, okay? This all comes from the body, the same body. It's all the same body, all right? There are a lot of blues elements in standards. You may see blues over here on this side of the tree, but these standards you see on that side of the tree, 40% of that is the blues. So again, watch the growth and migration of the tree, but don't get too caught up in a one-to-one thing. That's some European shit. Only Europeans separate things. Black people, we holistically view things, and we look at things holistically, spherically. All parts play a part in the larger part, and there is no separation. The categories are here just to make things clear to people. All right. So we're about to get into the blues roots of funk and rock. Well, we're already into it, I should say. The blues roots. When we're talking about rock, when we're talking about the blues, you got to talk about the fathers of what will be later on become rock. People like Howlin' Wolf. Howlin' Wolf was a boss. And his guitar play, it said that when he got to Chicago, the reason why he wasn't screwed over in his contract was because he had $4,000 in cash in his pockets when he arrived to Chicago. So when he signed that Chess Records, he didn't get one of them shady deals. Unlike our brother Muddy Waters. Muddy Waters got screwed over royally. He got screwed over. But I digress. When it comes to rock guitar, these cats here, and there are others too. Look, there are a whole host of others too, but I'm just going to first, to make it simple, start with three of the many forefathers of rock. Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, and Bo Diddley. For those of you who don't know, that was Bo Diddley in Trading Places. Remember that scene in Trading Places when he wanted to when Winthorpe went to go trade in his watch? This is a Rochefoucauld. It tells long times simultaneously in Rome, London, and Stade. Then the brother was like, well, in Philadelphia, it's worth $50. He was like, what do you mean? Do you got a receipt? That was Bo Diddley. And Bo Diddley is one of the gods of what will become rock. And that was one of the funniest scenes in the movie. And you remember when he went to go lean to give him the money? He that's that classic old black man look. If you ever got money from your grandfather for anything, because granddaddy didn't really give up money like that. Grandpa would be like, you gotta work. And our grandfathers was hard ass. You had to work to get they wasn't just handing out bags when we was kids. Like these newer granddaddies are different. Since the Cosby Show came out and Heathcliff Huxtable, that made granddaddies more pleasant. But them granddaddies when I was a kid didn't give you shit. And when they would give you some money, they give you that exact same look Muddy Waters gave Winthorpe in Trading Places. Stare at your ass. Then they pull the money out real slow. And remember how old black men used to count their money? Old black men count their money loud as hell. It'd be like, shik, 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 shik. Don't let them tell you old black men was broke. Shit. I never saw my granddaddy with less than $1,000 in his top pocket. And I'm talking about back in the 80s. He kept them $100 bills folded up in his top pocket, but wouldn't give you shit. Granddaddy had bread. Had cash buried in the backyard. Don't let them tell you how broke black people were. Shit. Them black men of that era, man. Well, anyway, I digress. Back to what we're talking about. These are three essential names you must know when it comes to the foundation of rock and roll. Rock, which evolved into rock, which evolved into heavy metal. I say involved. God damn it, Eric. I told y'all 2 times a show I'm going to mess a word up. Evolved, not involved. Evolved. Damn it, Dewan. Anyway, which evolved into rock, which evolved into metal, which evolved into grunge, which evolved into, which took separate directions and evolved into punk. All of that guitar sound, that guitar bass, can go back to these three guys, amongst more. And I must say, amongst more, B.B. King's another one we got to give credit to. We got to give credit to, again, Rufus Thomas. We got to give credit to, it's a lot more names I can be naming right now. But in order to keep things sort of streamlined, I'm highlighting this 3 of many. Okay? I appreciate the cash app, Major. Y'all send me these cash apps, man. That give me motivation because it really does to keep going because it lets me know that you guys really appreciate it. I'm gonna do it regardless because this is on my heart to put this out here for us, because black people, we're not stupid, we just misinformed. So in a few areas that I have some small level of information, it's my job to pass it out, whether you guys drop a dime or not. So for those of you out there who don't have it, I appreciate y'all just as much. Because we getting ourselves out this hole as a community together. I'm just playing my little bullshit ass part. But somebody said, don't ask out the women. Chill, brother. Chill. We building a story here. I haven't gotten there yet. We're going to get to the women. Sister Rosetta Tharpe. We're going to get to them. Y'all must know who Sister Rosetta Tharpe is when it comes to the blues guitar. But we got some women we going to talk about too, all right? We're building a story here. We're building a story. I like to thinly layer my stories so you guys can take the information with you and do something with it. So when you're talking about Bo Diddley, you're talking about that sound that made Sting, Bono, and all of these white artists real famous. Don't, 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 don't. That's called the Bo Diddley backbeat. And when Bo Diddley created that backbeat, you see this box guitar he has? That guitar didn't exist before Mr. Bo Diddley created it. So not only did Bo Diddley create a sound that is still alive and everlasting through today, he created from scratch the guitar to pull off the sound. So when other cultures want to come talking about their sound system culture and how black people weren't into electronics like that, and it was the Jamaicans that brought over the electronics, with all due respect, chill. That's an old story for us. We've been doing that. This sound, the sound of the Bo Diddley backbeat and guitar that is still prevalent in music today. You can hear that backbeat being played in the newest 777. That song 777 on the Bruno Mars album with Anderson .Paak. That song 777. That's the Bo Diddley backbeat. Still making hits in 2022. I appreciate the Cash App, Mr. Hall. I appreciate the Cash App, Barracuda and Tahuti. Man, y'all giving me love, man. I appreciate y'all. For real, for real. But that sound was not only innovated with the rhythm and the play, the guitar itself that was used to pull off that sound that is still making hits in 2022 was invented by Mr. Bo Diddley. Appreciate the Bitcoin, Rudolph. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. What's up, Star? What's up, Quan? Moderators in the building. That's Bo Diddley. I'm building a foundation, y'all. Then we're gonna get to rock and funk, and I'll get to some of the ladies for those of you who requested. Then we got Mr. Howlin' Wolf. Howlin' Wolf, his sound is the Beatles. His sound is the Rolling Stones. His sound is Eric Clapton. When you want to talk about isolating a breakbeat, go back to the song Smokestack Lightning by Howlin' Wolf. The noon noon the noon the noon doon 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 the noon the noon the noon doon 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 the noon the noon the noon the noon doon doon. Isolated rhythm, that's blues. So when they want to talk about Jamaicans and Kool Herc isolating a breakbeat, that's just them doing on record what the blues musicians were doing in blues. Isolating a particular breakbeat is old school. It's just that the bands would do it before that. And the reason why he did it is because, like Kool Herc said, the crowd responded. They loved when he did that, his merry-go-round style that he got from Coke La Rock. The crowd responded favorably to the merry-go-round sound. Why? Because the black audience has always loved the loop sound. It's just our music is so diverse. By the time you get to R&B of the late 60s and into the 70s, it's so lush with the sound. Violin, string sections, horn sections, vocal arrangements, background singers, layering. The music had gotten so sophisticated, the breakdown became ultra appreciated once again. But the breakdown been there. Howlin' Wolf played with a breakdown. He would just loop the same thing. Doon the noon the noon the noon the noon doon the noon the noon the noon the noon doon the noon the noon the noon the noon doon the noon. That's what we do. That's what we do. What's up, Jeff Brown in the chat room? What's up, Mark Smith? Then we get to Muddy Waters. Well, before I get to Muddy Waters, I must mention this man, Johnny Guitar Watson. He's another unsung hero. Johnny Guitar Watson started out in the blues, ended up in the funk. Too Short credits Johnny Guitar Watson as being one of the fathers of hip hop. He's the original gangster of love. You want to talk about Eric Clapton's guitar sound? You must start with Johnny Guitar Watson. I wanna ta-ta you, baby. Thank you. I wanna ta-ta you, baby. Shit. I love that shit. Ain't that a bitch? But Johnny Guitar Watson started out in the blues. And he went to the funk. This how I play it. Look at this picture. This is one of Johnny Guitar Watson's album covers. Rappers ain't starting, man. Niggas been doing player shit. Look at that, man. Come on. This dude got a box bike car with the ladies and the minks. Johnny Guitar Watson. And another thing about Johnny Guitar Watson that goes unsung was his sound engineering. Go back and listen to Superman Lover and listen to any other thing that came out that same year. What his sound engineer, what they were doing with sound was far ahead of anyone else. It was Earth and Fire and Johnny Guitar Watson re-innovating the way music was recorded and the way music sounded. Johnny Guitar Watson's sound engineering was second to nobody. You put on a Johnny Guitar Watson track and any other track from that same year, his music was light years clearer and more clear. Yes, Eric Clapton ripped off Albert King too. These white boys, the white boys were a mixture of all these brothers. Again, I'm only mentioning a handful of people. I'm not mentioning all the players in this show, in this particular. For all the players, y'all I'm gonna have a series of pay-per-views coming out on where I get real deep. They won't be much, but I have a film guy professionally filming these pay-per-views that I'm putting together. Shouts out to Hood News, and I'm not gonna let that brother work for free. But those will be professionally edited and done. But you'll be, and that'll be a whole series. That's gonna have all the names. But yeah, this Johnny Guitar Watson. Player. And then we must always remember Muddy Waters. Muddy Waters. When it comes to how the guitars play, I was looking for this clip in my interview with Mr. Bobby Rush, but I had 2 interviews and I just couldn't find the clip in time. I didn't think about it until about 20 minutes before the show started. But if you go back and listen to both my interviews with Mr. Bobby Rush, I promise you'll hear him say this part in there. He talks about Muddy Waters' influence on rock and roll and rock guitar. And Muddy Waters had a certain way of playing the guitar that will make the guitar make a wah-wah sound. And one of the biggest innovations to the guitar during the 20th century was a wah-wah pedal. When you hear that guitar go, well, that's from a wah-wah pedal. These crybabies. Well, did you know the crybaby, the wah-wah pedal, was invented so the white boys can keep up sonically with what Muddy Waters was doing with his guitar without one? Muddy knew how to make the guitar wah-wah without an electric amp and without one of these pedals. This innovation, the wah-wah pedal, was created so guitars could sound like Muddy Waters. When they came up with inventions to innovate through the guitar, those innovations and those inventions were created to keep up with how black musicians sounded. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. Those were created to keep up with Muddy Waters. We got to know that, family. Why am I saying all this? I'm setting the foundation for rock and funk. Sounds that it was an interview with George Clinton. And if you watch this documentary with George Clinton talks about a lot of the frustration Muddy Waters was feeling in the 60s as the music started to pass him by when Jimi Hendrix came along. If you listen to Jimi Hendrix is the father of what we now call heavy metal. But Jimi Hendrix, when you listen to him play, he was just playing Muddy. He was playing Muddy with a larger amp. Young Jimi Hendrix, 21-year-old Jimi Hendrix, 22, 23-year-old Jimi Hendrix was playing Muddy. Same lines, same riffs. Just instead of with acoustics or a less powerful amp, He was doing it with a distorted amp, new technology, new innovations. But it was basically Muddy Waters with new technology. That's what Jimmy was playing. Make no mistake about it, Jimmy was still influenced by B.B. King, Albert King, Howlin' Wolf, and all the others that come before him. They all played a part in his sound too. But when you hear the clearest line of path of sound, the link is between Muddy and Jimmy. Jimmy is like an he's like Muddy and the whole Chess Records guitar sound interpreted through Seattle. Remember when I started this show, I talked about how music is a sonic interpretation of your environment. Muddy gave you the sound of Memphis, the sound of the Delta. Albert King gave you the sound of the South through Chicago. Well, there's a reason why a lot of your heavy metal, a lot of your rock sound comes from Seattle. Seattle has a totally different vibe to it than the South. And I got to really feel this vibe when I was in Seattle. I've been to Seattle twice so far this year. The first time I went, I had a good time. I felt the energy of the city. And I could tell, okay, I could feel it. I could see why the whole grunge, the whole metal sound comes out of Seattle. So my second time in Seattle, I got hella spiritual with it. See, I know this may sound weird to you people who are into the books. For you people into the books, I've given you niggas your references when I started this show on the book for the book knowledge people. I've shown you where you can go. For the spiritual knowledge people, this is for you. Because I'm one that synthesizes the logical with the spiritual, the physical with the esoteric. It's all part of the same body of knowledge. For those of you more into the spiritual, esoteric, metaphysical breakdown of it, my second time in Seattle, what I did was I just played Jimmy, a lot of Jimmy, throughout the day. And I had a performance that night, but I got to Seattle a couple days early and just really soaked up the energy of the city. And I took some shrooms. I took like 5 grams of shrooms. And I took them about 7 or 8 at night. And then I got outside, and it was a warm night. It was a warm Seattle night too. It was like in the high 60s, low 70s in Seattle. I went out there at the perfect time, and I just walked around the city because when you're on shrooms, you can feel things energetically. And like when I'm creating things like music or like my Black American Music Tree. For people that want to down alternative shit, whatever, that's cool. But this whole Black American Music Tree came out of a shroom trip. The whole idea of it. The idea of putting this together and how it was going to look and what the story it was going to tell, all that came out of a shroom trip. I had a shroom trip on a Friday night. I woke up Saturday morning and put 80% of this tree together. I did an episode of Incense and Ashtrays, and I put this tree together off of a vision I had in the mushroom trip. I'm not a doctor. I'm not advocating anything. I'm just telling you how I get down, all right? You do what the fuck you want to do. And if you're the kind of person that stuff like that is too much for you, then don't do it. But for niggas like me, that's how I get down. So I went on a shroom trip, and I just went through Seattle. And I played Jimmy. And I walked through downtown Seattle for like 4 or 5 hours. These little scooters are not, but I looked up, man. I walked from my hotel was in. I was staying at the Sheraton. I was staying at the Sheraton. Man, I walked down to the Pike Place Market. I walked down to where the Seattle the Seahawks play football. I walked from there. Then I walked up to the Space Needle. And I just listened to Jimmy the whole time. And I saw and I felt exactly why Seattle has that. Seattle's right there on the ocean. Not on the ocean, but on all that water. It's a lot of water around Seattle. It's a lot of, and water carries a lot of energy. And it's a lot of like suppressed energy in Seattle. That's why Seattle has the highest suicide rate. It's a lot of earlier that day, even though it was a warm night, earlier that day it was very gray. Seattle has a very melancholy feel to it. You know, it has a certain buzz to it. So the feel of Seattle can be interpreted through Jimi Hendrix's guitar sound. You could tell Jimi Hendrix listened to a lot of Chess Records. A lot of those guys over at Chess Records, especially Muddy Waters. And he was playing what he felt. But he was playing it interpreted through Seattle, Washington. It's very rainy. It's very drudgy. It's very grungy. In Seattle. You know what I mean? But Jimmy still had that soul because Jimmy, when he left Seattle, he played with Wilson Pickett. He played with the Isley Brothers. People don't know Jimmy played with the Isley Brothers. When it comes to the Jimi Hendrix sound, the whole what's his name? Ernie Isley. The reason why Ernie Isley has such a heavy rock feel to him is because that was the original place for Jimi Hendrix. Hendrix also was the band leader for Little Richard. So Jimi Hendrix got baptized in the soul. But he still, at the end of the day, was from Seattle. And it was his Seattle energy that pushed out the sound that would later become heavy metal. Or metal. This is where it starts. It starts with Jimmy. But like hip hop, like the blues, like jazz, something I always preach on is the sort of polygenesis roots of Black American music. It may get its start in one city, but like wildfire, Black people from other parts of the country pick up on it real quick. Real fast. So you get those brothers out of Detroit. Death. They pick up on it. And they start giving you some of that punk rock sound. You get them. You also get Betty Davis. Betty Davis is also known as one of the queens of funk. But she's also, her music was also very rock and metal. It was like metal and funk were sort of bubbling at the same, like the sounds came out of the same source. Funk is a more slowed down version of metal at its inception. When it gets the rock influence. Funk is but James Brown's is the bare bones of it. That's the bare bones of the funk sound, James Brown. When you start to put that when you start to add the distorted guitar to it, that's where you get the metal, a more sped up version of funk with a distorted guitar. Betty Davis played with that distorted guitar. She was also Miles Davis's wife. She was the influence for Miles Davis making that turn towards the album Bitches Brew, 1969, 1970. Bitches Brew was another person. Now, Jimi Hendrix was supposed to be on Bitches Brew. A lot of people don't know that. Bitches Brew was Miles Davis listening to what was going on with the funk sound between James Brown, Sly and the Family Stone, listening to what was going on in the metal sound with Jimi Hendrix, and fusing that all with jazz. That was the Bitches Brew album. You saw Miles Davis change up his whole swag. Miles Davis ditched the bebop suits. Miles Davis was always known for dressing real clean. Miles Davis went to more of that rock, metal, funk style of dress, and integrated rock, metal, and funk with jazz. And the first time an electronic keyboard can be heard on record was Herbie Hancock playing the keyboards for this album. Before that album, Herbie Hancock always played the acoustic piano. When they want to introduce more of those electric sounds to jazz and to music in general, that was all introduced on Bitches Brew. This was a fusion of jazz, metal, and funk. This is the beginnings of the blues. This is when you add that jazz element to the blues. There's always been a tango and a dance between the jazz and blues. The jazz and blues, although separate in sound, when it comes to the popular musics of the day, they've all had both jazz and blues influence. Rock and roll, heavy metal, R&B, rock, all of the sounds, funk, they're all fusions of blues and jazz elements. But it was this album right here, Bitches Brew, which was inspired by this woman here, Betty Davis, the at the time wife of Miles Davis, who had her own funk and rock sound. From there, you get My Boys. Oh, it said this picture won't work. Let me change it. Let me see if I change it to .jpg. All right, change to a JPEG image. All right, yeah, there you go. Work. Now I come down to My Boys. Y'all know me, Parliament Funkadelic. They can do no wrong. Parliament Funkadelic started out on their Funkadelic years when they brought in a young guitarist by the name of Eddie Hazel. Eddie Hazel is somebody who sounded a lot like Jimi Hendrix. You can tell the Jimi Hendrix influence on Eddie Hazel. Early Funkadelic was very, 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 very heavy metal, rock. When you go back and listen to America Eats His Young and the Maggot Brain, they're known as a funk band, but they really don't get enough credit for their influence on metal and rock. Especially when you're dealing with the Maggot Brain album and America Eats His Young. We're dealing with the song, a lot of your early 70s, really the early 70s, Funkadelic, they were very, 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 very much so heavy metal inspired. This album right here, Standing on the Verge, they got a song. This came out in 1974. You hear a song called "Come On Red Hot Mama, You Sure Look Good to Me." Right on, Red Hot Mama. I love it. But he's also rapping. Red Hot Mama from Louisiana, all the way from Savannah. She's as bad as she wants to be. You hear George Clinton's low-key rapping with Eddie Hazel playing that guitar, that metal guitar on top. These are your early days of the evolution from the blues into funk and rock and into heavy metal. You literally have the same musicians playing both sounds, inspired by the same musicians. Dig what I'm saying? From there, we get the grunge sound, ironically, back in Seattle, from Miss Tina Bell. It's the reason we keep going back to Seattle. It's the reason we keep going back to Seattle when it comes to this metal sound. Because Seattle plays the blues. The Seattle sonic interpretation of the blues is through metal. Because that's the energy of Seattle. Justin said he tore that solo. Hell yeah, he tore that solo up on Red Hot Mama. I wish I could play it for y'all. See, y'all need to, I really want y'all to subscribe to Mixcloud. Mixcloud, I only have a few people on it, but also I wanted this particular broadcast to reach a wider audience, so I'm not playing the music. If I was on Mixcloud, I could just play the music for you, which I'm going to just start doing and put those shows up on Patreon. I just got to start doing it. Just for those of you who are on Mixcloud, y'all can rock with me. And then for those of you who aren't, you can listen to it on the lowest tier Patreon. I'll probably do it that way. So, Dr. Sinister, you a fool. He said Crazy Legs was there too. Y'all some. See, I can't look at the chat room. Y'all both hella intelligent and hella ignorant at the same time. But Miss Tina Bell and her group Bam Bam in the early 80s, what she was doing was she was revisiting the sound of Hendrix, the sound of the blues as interpreted through Seattle, and creating her own sound out of that. Hey, I kind of just ran through this water I've been drinking. I'm gonna play this music for 20 more seconds. I got some more ice water in my freezer. Cause this ice water I got here ain't melting fast enough. I'll be back in 20 seconds. I need some more goddamn water. It's hot in the motherfucker in LA. Damn it, I got my air conditioner running and I'm still hot in this motherfucker. Jesus. Anyway, we back. So you see how we as Black Americans, I forgot to make one more connection. I got another connection maybe before I round this all up. A nucleus to a lot of this is the one who knows what the funk is all about, Bootsy Collins. Bootsy was the link between James Brown and Funkadelic. He brought because Funkadelic was more. If you listen to Parliament Funkadelic before Bootsy got there, they were really a rock band. There's a song by Parliament Funkadelic I want y'all to listen to. It's called Shit, Goddamn, Get Off Your Ass and Jam. Shit, goddamn, Get Off Your Ass and Jam. Eddie Hazel has a monster metal solo on that song. And there's another song called Stomp by Funkadelic. Stomp. Dun dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun dun. Dun dun. She needs to call me every time she do the stomp. Yeah, that was the sound of Funkadelic before one William Bootsy Collins got there. Bootsy Collins is what really fused that funk with the metal and the rock that Funkadelic was playing and took funk to a whole new level. But when you look at Bootsy's stilo, his style, the way he talked, he was doing his best version of Jimi Hendrix. Down to how they played the guitar. Let me see if this image will work. When you look at a lot of your... Damn it, I just had a photo of Jimi Hendrix I wanted to put up and I can't find it. Don't y'all hate when that happens? Oh, that's why I can't. They be having these new programs now to where you can't really just take the picture off Google no more. But when you look at a lot of Bootsy's stilo, the way he talked, whoa, down, baby baba. He was influenced by Hendrix. Jimmy and Bootsy, you could tell Bootsy Collins grew up watching a lot of Jimi Hendrix. Even Bootsy even says so. Bootsy talks about, I watch a lot of Bootsy Collins interviews. He's never ashamed to talk about how much of an influence Jimmy had on him. But when we look at who Jimmy and Bootsy were both influenced by, when it comes to the sound, when it comes to the music, it's influenced by the blues. The influence is the blues. That's why I say, black people, this whole genre thing, I like using genres to explain different sounds, but we shall never get caught up in making the genres and getting in these big old arguments about, is it this or that? Because at the end of the day, it's all the blues. It's all soul music. And your soul is expressed depending on your living situation and your environment, and is influenced by the music your mommy and daddy played in the house growing up as children. It's influenced by the music played at the church you went to as a child and as a young adult. That's where soul music is influenced from. By the music you grew up listening, by the music your parents played as you grew up, and by your church environment. Not dancehall culture. Not by a few Latinos with mullets that were at the party. That's not where your music influence comes from. It comes from the music that your parents played, the music of your immediate environment, the city you lived in, the sound and energy of that environment. That's why I always say, when you listen to hip hop in New York, hip hop and jazz out of New York got the same texture to it. Loud, abrasive, and in your face. Because the city of New York is loud and abrasive and in your face. And this is long before mass immigration policy. That's how music sounded in the 1930s, when it was primarily black Americans there, through the sound of Chick Webb and this swing band. And you contradict that, and you can contrast that to the sound of the West Coast, more open and laid out. See, there's a polygenesis when it comes to our music. There may be one or two black people that influence the sound, but the minute that sound got some sort of a level of notoriety, we see the similar sounds take off in different cities throughout the country, like right away. Jimi Hendrix brought in that heavy metal sound in 1966, in the 65, in the early 60s. By 1968, you're hearing interpretations of that sound all throughout Detroit, Chicago, LA. Same thing with jazz. Jazz may have gotten founded in New Orleans, but every city that black Americans lived, there was jazz. Hip hop may have come together and fused in New York City, but within a couple years, every city where there are black people living, there's a hip hop sound that sounds like the sonic interpretation of their immediate environment. The reason why there's no hip hop sound in Kingston, Jamaica is because hip hop is not Jamaican. If you're Jamaican, we would have had a hip hop sound out of Kingston back in 1981, or out of Puerto Rico in 1983, or out of anywhere in Latin America. They would have had their own version of hip hop back in the 80s. This is how thorough our music history is, y'all. We can trace it line by line, person by person, city by city, sound by sound, and show you the evolution. Don't play with us, people. Y'all awoke a sleeping giant. Y'all woke a sleeping giant. I want to thank Fat Joe and Busta Rhymes for waking us up. Niggas been yawning, sleeping, and bullshitting. Not passing our culture down the way we should. Not talking to one another and sharing our greatness the way we should. So thank y'all for the opportunity, for the reminder that we must each one teach one. That we must cherish and honor our music. You dig what I'm saying? This is black music. This is black culture. This is soul music culture. The same way they talk about hip hop. Man, hip hop, that's unique to New York. Look at the way hip hop dress. Well, look at the way funk dresses. Look at the way heavy metal dresses. All black music has a particular attire. The whole hippie, when they talk about hippies, the hippie dress, thank you, Jimi Hendrix. Hippie culture is black culture. Y'all don't want to go there. The white folks took it, and when Woodstock 1969 came out, a white face got put on hippie culture. But hippie culture is black culture. Smoking weed, dressing with all the different rings on, and Bootsy Collins calls himself a hippie. Stop playing. Black Americans got so many damn cultures we created, and subcultures within subcultures. Stop playing. Stop playing. People still dress like hippies till this day. Hippie culture is black culture too. White folks just liked it and blew it up. I see people in the chat room talking about jazz. Look, man, we'll talk about jazz when we talk about jazz. If you want to hear more about jazz, subscribe to Incense and Ashtrays. I talk about music all the time. We got to remember one thing, black people, and this isn't talking about any one individual in particular, but it's overall. When we're talking about a particular subject, everything else can't be addressed in that particular line of thought. I only do this show for 2 hours or less. I can't, if I were to talk about every sound that black people created, I would never get to a point. When you're making a point, you got to make points and prove things and discuss things line by line. And in order for me to do that, I have to keep a constant stream of thought. If you want to hear about John Coltrane, go back and listen to some episodes of Incense and Ashtrays where I talked about John Coltrane. Or listen to future episodes where I may talk about him again. Today we're on this particular topic. When someone's on a topic, it's just best and it's most fruitful that we all stick to that topic and get the most out of that particular topic. When you start bringing in all this other stuff and starts wanting to share with the world how much you know, it distracts people from getting the most information out of a particular topic. We gotta, as a people, learn how to focus. And if A, B, and C is the topic, let's stick to A, B, and C. Too many times we listen to Brother Jason Black's broadcast, him talking, and then here comes a caller calling in saying, it's always him. And it was a caller that called in yesterday on his show, either yesterday or Saturday, and they came in, I'd hate to be the one that changes the topic. Well, nigga, if you hate to be the one that changes the topic, then don't change it. That's what I was thinking when that dude called in. I was like, man, you don't hate it that bad. You doing it? I was so glad when Brother Black hung up on him. Like, man, we talking about something in focus. Let's mine and get all of the details, all of the information we can off what this brother's focusing on today. There's always that one smart guy calling into his show or on one of Tariq's Twitter spaces. Yeah, man, I know we talking about reparations for Black Americans, but, you know, at the duty of changing the subject, I really don't want to change the subject, but we got to stop calling ourselves black, man. You see, if we keep calling ourselves black, then the white man, oh my God. We trying to talk about reparations and this particular thing, and here you come talking about status correction and some other shit. If we got a particular stream of, if the brothers is breaking down a particular stream of consciousness and you don't have a question that they breaking down in that stream, why are you calling in? Like, that takes effort. I'm going to call into the Black channel. 677 something 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 something. I'm going to wait on the phone line for 30, 45 minutes. And I'm going to bring up some shit that ain't got a damn thing to do with what the brother's talking about. That shit takes effort, y'all. You're right, Joseph. At least one person per broadcast. Always one. Let's focus on the topic. And let's stick to what we talking about here. Dig what I'm saying? So we talking about the blues influence on rock and heavy metal. And like I said before, yes, there are other musicians that I did not mention that play a major part in this. Yes, there are other forms of music that go into this. All that's true. But today we're talking about these particular people and their influence on the sound. The blues is the roots of funk and rock. The blues is, at the end of the day, the blues is the roots of all American music, lyrical music. It all comes from the blues format. The way a hip hop song is structured comes out of the blues. All country western comes out of the blues. All of it comes out of the blues. All of it. We got to remember that. And we got to remember when it comes down to it, we created all this stuff, black people. And you can get your Black American music family tree at IncenseandAshtrays.com. Put this on your wall for your family to see. Because we got to spread this information around. When it comes to rock and funk, they are twin children of the blues and jazz. Mama Jazz, Daddy Blues. And you see that there's Black American influence. And yes, we have Bam Bam, Tina Bell. We have the group Death. But we got to remember Jimi Hendrix. And before Jimi Hendrix, Muddy Waters. Muddy Waters, muddy, muddy, muddy. I want to thank y'all for listening. I appreciate y'all. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. I need y'all to go up to IncenseandAshtrays.com to get your Black American music family tree. Get your history of music on Mixcloud. A lot of the things that you guys want me to talk about, I done broke this stuff down in 2-hour-long format on Incense and Ashtrays. I got our music reviews. So follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But if you want all of the episodes, I only have a few on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. For all of the episodes, you got to click on Mixcloud. Mixcloud has everything. Celebrating Roy Ayers, celebrating Gamble & Huff, authentic soul music, a lot of live music breakdowns, jazz, our classical music. In there, I broke down a lot of Coltrane for you people asking about John Coltrane. I even talked about the beauty and degenerate music. Music that ain't talking about shit. Talking about cheating on your gal, taking your homie's wife, all that music. Harmonious soul, the evolution and the devolution of soul music, the message within our music, Michael Jackson, the militant, the revolutionary, talking about the dynamics, how dynamics play a part in soul music, talk about the soulful revolutionary music within the James Brown sound, positive and uplifting. And in these mixes, I play the music. It's mostly music based. I talk in between the songs, but most of these are based in the music. I'm playing the music for you, and I'm just doing a little talking in between. So if you really want a lot of the stuff that people in the chat room were saying I should talk about, been there, done that. Got to catch up. It's all been talked about. It's all in my content. You dig? IncenseandAshtrays.com/shop. That's where you get the Black American music tree. The t-shirt is only available on Incense and Ashtrays. Everything else you can get on Hotepish. But the t-shirt and the hoodie, you can only get this on IncenseandAshtrays.com. The Black American Music Family Tree t-shirt and the artwork, IncenseandAshtrays.com. You dig what I'm saying? So I want y'all to remember this as I sign off. There are no perfect messengers. Only perfect messages for those who are willing to pick up the game. Oh, and also you can get my new book. It's in the description already. Tell it like it is, The Art of Loving Communication. I will be doing some shows on this here on YouTube, but I'll be going in depth on Patreon, breaking the book down, because a lot of us don't know how to talk to each other. This is an ebook. I will have a hard copy on sale on Amazon, but that's like a couple months away because I got some other paperwork I got to take care of in order to get it up on Amazon. But in the meantime, it's an ebook right now. Tell It Like It Is, The Art of Loving Communication. It's a how-to when it comes to speaking to your family in a loving manner. If you want a reading, breakthroughas.org, family communication reading. You want to find out your goals, I can pull them cards out. But I do have this in the description already, the book, Tell It Like It Is. I want to thank y'all again for listening. Catch you tomorrow. Hotep is just going to be on Caffeine tomorrow. Download the Caffeine app, The Comedy Press. I'll be on from 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right. My name is Dewan. I'm out.